and we'll do, and the change order stuff won't take too long. So we've got, is a subcontract, yeah, there we go. So subcontract change orders and PO change orders. So either one of those. And if we, we'll see if we tab down, if we have a,
Purchase order?
I don't know if we did a purchase order. Did we have one? Approved POs by project. Yeah, we did one. That very first one there is approved. So you can just pick it. Or whichever one you want to pick. I don't care.
Procedurally, I don't know. I've never done a purchase order change order. I don't know.
What do you typically do when a purchase order needs to be adjusted? So say it's same Marriott example, say, you know, the Marriott Stonebridge would have added an extra floor after construction, and we already issued a PO to AirTech, and we needed to buy 12 more heat pumps. Would you have just written a separate purchase order?
Either written a separate order, or sometimes I've just gone in and
Revised it.
changed the PO, yeah.
Left the price the same, all right?
So you just increase the units?
Or
the
a lot of times it'll get picked up in receiving, I think, where, you know, so somehow something will get revised for like a rough order material or rough order.
Yeah, and then, see, Vista has some settings that it says, well, no, I'm not going to let you, because the POs
Right.
has a fixed amount. And then if you just go in and receive more, then we might not allow it probably won't allow you to post that. So we typically are going to add a change order. And you can change the existing item and just increase it.
Got it.
So, or you can add another item. So, I mean, this way at least you've got the tracking, right? So we'll just change something on this one. I'm guessing. We'll see what we've got. I don't remember what we even wrote this one for.
This was one that I wrote when we were doing the test invoice.
Blank PO or?
Says it's
Oh, that's the one we wrote
approved.
yesterday.
Approved POs by project.
That's the one we wrote, yes.
Yeah, that if we tab down, there's nothing.
So we go to the, should we go to
Okay.
the grid on the top one?
Here?
Yeah.
And then this all blanks out.
Oh,
Yeah, because now we're doing it at the grid level. So do it at the info level again. And that's fine. And it's not going to bring in a lot of stuff. So go ahead and tab down. And tab once more. Okay, so now this is relating to a change order to that original purchase order. Now the thing is I don't see a lot of data in there. Let me just see if I do it, if it comes up with anything better. Because I thought it would have at least put the purchase order description next to it. You know, you see it right there. So if I click,
Let's try a different one maybe.
yeah. Yeah, so none of them, you know, let me just see if that happens when I do it too.
It says unapproved up here.
Yeah, well, that means the change orders are not approved yet,
Gotcha.
which is okay. I haven't really looked at the form in a long time, so PO change orders. Come on. And if I'm doing a new one, so I'm going to tab. See, once you enter it, it has plenty there, but I would have thought that it would have at least brought in the new and then F4, and if I bring in approved POs by project, yeah, there we go. So that one. And see, mine brings in the description. Oh, maybe because I've already done a change order on that. Because it'd be nice to know what the description was. Oh, but you know what? None of them have a description.
No.
Yeah, so that's why it's not bringing in anything. So none of those approved change orders. Let's just go over to the change order, the actual purchase order first, and just take a look at PM purchase orders. Yeah, there you go.
Oop.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. It's hopping on me. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so let's look at, which, yeah, is that one that we looked at? Says it was processed. Yeah, see, there's no description. So none of these have any description in any of them. At least it looks like we didn't put one in there.
Yeah, I don't know that I put it.
Yeah, which is, that's, okay, so that's all the reason it's not bringing it over is because there isn't one. Which is, it's not the end of the world. We can go back now, that's okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure it wasn't something that was goofed up. Yeah, all right, so that's fine, tab down. It's change order item 1, tab down. Let's put a description in this, one more tab. Yeah, there, put something in there. Add something, I don't know. Not sure even what we're adding, but, good enough. And then, some details, whatever it is. If there was you don't have to put anything in there if you don't want to. Then you just do an F4. It should be, yep. There you go. If there was any reference, so if there was anything that you were referencing, tab. Yeah, there you go. So the ready for accounting is when it's actually ready to be, that's kind of the approval kind of thing. So then if you tab down and yeah, you can put in dates and stuff. I mean, those are just pre-set. You can go in and actually you can change those like we kind of did with this one. At least they're already there. You can add a sequence. You're on the, yep, there you go. So it's either in for new, yep, there you go. So if you do an F4 here, it shows you that. So if you want to increase that item, you can do that. This was a lump sum PO, it looked like. So there's no, all you're doing is increasing the amount. But if it had eaches or, you had 10, whatever you were saying before, you had some pieces of, air handlers or whatever it is, and you needed to increase that, it's just saying, yeah, this PO, I'm putting 10 new ones or 4 new ones, or I'm just increasing the dollar amount, or I can create a new item. I can say, oh, here's the item that relates to the PO, and as I'm increasing it.
Does it show the original amount usually? Was this a $0 PO?
Well, it was a lump sum, so no, it's not going to, but if it had units, it would show the unit cost.
This is just a brand new
This is
cost
just
item to
an existing one,
This is
right?
existing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if the original PO though for this one on the .001 PO, if it was just written for the amount 0.
No, it should have had an amount.
Yeah,
I was
but
wondering if it shows up here so you can see what it originally was and then what you're increasing.
if you go to try the, go ahead and try the totals, or we might go over farther, but is there anything on there?
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this amount here is that totally changing this or adding to?
It's going to add to it. Yep.
So how do you reduce it?
You do a negative number.
Yeah, you mean you're giving back something?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do a minus.
It will, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you look at the original purchase order, prior approved, current purchase order, pending, I mean, if you enter $100 there and then you refresh, I'm going to guess that pending PO change order should change. Yeah, there it is right there. But if you took a minus in, because it was a deductive one, because you give deductive POs out, right? You're taking away something from somebody.
Sure. I mean, like Isaac said, that's not typically our process, but there's definitely, on change orders, we'll do deductive change orders.
And it
Yeah, because the owner's going to say, well, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to wait, and we're not building out that part of the floor or something, or we ran out of money, or I don't know, whatever their reasons are. You can also add it into, another item. And then you could, there you go. Yeah, and you put a phase in and
Plumbing materials. So,
Can you copy and paste the previous phase?
I mean, you can go up in F2 and hit Control C and then, yeah, you can do that. But it has a unit cost in there, but that unit cost probably comes from the material.
Mhm.
And the E means it's, per foot. If you did something that was, the price is per 100 feet. Excuse me, there's a little drop down. See how it says ECM? E is per each of that foot, C is per 100
Mhm.
feet, and M per 1,000 feet.
One each.
Don't really see too much of it where it's pricing it, unless I guess if there was a coil or a roll or something, and you used it, you estimated per foot, but it got purchased in 100 units or something, like, I don't know, something, not sure, but typically E's always there, and I just tell you that because everybody eventually asks me what the E means.
Gotcha.
Because they think it means each, but it doesn't. It's just and then, you can check receiving again. So it's always an option. It sounds like if you're gonna do that, you might wanna do it all the time. So you may wanna default all those check boxes, wherever that is, to Y,
Mhm.
so it automatically checks them.
That means
Because-
we're doing line item receiving on this.
Yeah, it just means you receive, and that's how you receive. And it's really easy, that's why I thought, whoever does it, you could do initialize receipts, it brings in all the items, and you can click receive all, and you update, and you file process batch, and you're done. Or you just fill it in, it shows every line item. Now, if you have like 300 line items, it's a little harder, but if we're just doing a lump sum one for Ferguson, then it's, then if you're doing a lump sum for Ferguson, you're not really doing receiving.
Mhm.
So on those, you wouldn't want to
Yeah. That's kind of
check it because there's no way to receive on it's $1 million PO. And the
What are you
reason we're not doing all the items because unless, like you said, unless you link it. And then the vendor material does show on the initialized receipts form.
Yeah.
So maybe you would receive.
Mhm.
That would make it better. So once you save this, that tells us what it is. I'm writing a PO for 848, a change order
Mhm.
for that. For $380, I should say. And then if I click approve down, you click down there, can you actually?
Where'd Justin go? He's gonna want to see that.
Did we have to click ready for accounting?
Well, I'm thinking, let's see if we can click approve. And then it just automatically does it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can unapprove. So whoever wrote this module put a little button down there, which actually, because you see how you can't really,
Do anything here
you
now.
can't do anything there or over here.
Mhm.
So ready for accounting means it can be interfaced. Over here, it just means it's ready to be interfaced, I guess. And if I unapprove it, now I can click, I could click that button. And then if I click save, should give you that message. Oh, well, that's interesting. So,
Because they're not interfaced.
yeah, but they're not, but that doesn't really mean interfaced. That just means that they're ready to be. So go to the info tab. It means it's not interfaced, but it says, yeah, it's okay to interface, which is funny. I'd use this button.
Oh, yeah, it does it all.
Because otherwise, before if you click that, it said, do you want to update the other ones? Well, that's
Different.
because it's not really interfaced until once I approve it,
Mhm.
now I can actually interface it.
So
But again, it's that same thing. Unless it's approved by somebody, this can't be interfaced. So
Yeah.
somebody has to be able to click that. And then you notice it puts whoever approved it.
Mhm.
right there, and I think, again, the history tab is gonna,
No, yeah.
you know, it keeps, I mean, we just did some stuff in like a few seconds. We were, boom, 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 every single one gets tracked. So if this is $1 million PO and it gets approved and interfaced and nobody else gets to see it, and just so you know, it doesn't go through that workflow we talked about, because you notice there's no, change orders are exempt from that. So you, I mean, you can have, I don't know, it sounded like adding a bunch of pieces of equipment is a pretty big, like on Marriott, that sounds like it would cost a lot of money. I mean, I don't know how much these things cost, but there isn't anybody, I mean, once you click that,
That's it.
the only other way is okay, so who's going to interface?
That's right. That's the middle ground.
That's the place where you say, oh, well, okay, let me go look at them. And once again, I think they show on the, now that I said that, let me just see. I think they show on the document tracking form, which I tend to like, but, you know, not everybody. I like that one better than some of the other ones. So let's see. Well, maybe it doesn't have, no, it doesn't have change orders. It has purchase orders, but not like PO change orders. Those are not, don't appear to be on here. Not that I can see. So they don't track, it tracks subcontracts, but not change orders. Now, I guess the thing you could do is you can go there, and if I open this setup form, yeah, there they are. Okay. So just wanted to make sure I was right. So once I do a change order on a PO, I can open the purchase order from the document tracking form, and then there's a tab which Justin or Isaac or somebody said, what is that? Well, that's the change orders that you've written on that PO. You'll see them all right there, but it's just another tab. It's not a,
Talking about it here. Oops.
yeah, if you just go to the, if you go to the project management purchase order form.
Purchase order form. So the report?
No, just the actual form. It's over
Oh, I got
next column. Yeah. Purchase order, yeah, right there. So I don't know if this one's going to show, but is that the one I don't know which one we're on.
One.
Yeah.
This guy.
And so then if you see how there's a change order tab, if you go over to that tab, see now it hasn't been interfaced yet, but once it interfaced, it'll show there. And I don't know how much, you know, it shows the description, it'll show details, it'll show the status, which, you know, I thought it might show the pending ones too, but I don't know, I don't see that.
Ready for economy by dates and
Has all the dates there, see, so to me it would be as soon as I, have you saved that one over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's approved. I would have thought it might have shown up because if you go back to the info tab, see it's got a status, should be a status there somewhere of approved. Okay. I would have thought it would have shown.
If you go back to the grid. Oh, that's not the same thing I'm looking at. Right left. The grid below. When we add a change order to a purchase order, do we have to deduct, because we added cost do we have to offset that with a deduct to budget somewhere?
So, if you're doing it, yeah, you would probably have to. So there's two ways to do it. So really you're probably doing a PCO, or maybe the owner said, I'm taking away some stuff, and so you're deducting it. So at that time, you can say, you can do the PO change. Remember, we had that option when you're doing a PCO or an ACO, you can actually reduce a PO.
You know,
At that time.
what I'm thinking about here is we've now added more material that we have to pay a vendor. Say, back to my original example of having to add, 12 heat pump units.
Yeah.
We submit a change order for that scope. We get the cost. It goes to a new phase code. But now we need to pay our vendor. So we write them this change order on their purchase order. But we need to allocate the funds from that phase code where we added the cost that was received from the owner change order.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to do a negative. We need to take a negative from that phase code. To
Oh,
offset
because
the
it's
total
not
cost
really
here.
the right, it's in the wrong, the budget's in the wrong phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in order to do that, that's, so then I'm doing like an internal change order, no cost
Yeah.
change order. So then I'm actually doing, you can do it as a PCO or you can do it as an ACO, as an internal, and then that's like an internal budget adjustment, but it's done as a change order.
We can't do it right here. We could just add a third line item that would deduct the total cost. So if it was 100, 280, 380 from that phase code that was to add it.
Yeah, so if you unapprove it, you gotta unapprove it in order to get back there. So right there, yeah, you could do it. You could do it to, yeah, then you could call this like, you just tab over, I would think, right? You're not even, and it would be, this is your budget adjusting it right here. So here you put the 280 in there, but you want to deduct it from wherever it was.
Yeah, I guess there's two ways we can do it as a company is we can adjust this 380 into that subcontractor's phase. So say this is a subcontract, not a PO, and we're adding 380 to their contract value. We can either adjust the 380 out of our phase code that we created for the change order into their phase code, their subcontract phase order, or we can leave the money where it is, and then when accounting posts the 380 charged by this contractor, they can post it to, instead of that subcontractor's phase code, they would charge it to the phase code for the change order, which makes it so when Isaac's looking for everything AirTech charged on Stonebridge Marriott, instead of just looking at their one phase code, you have to look across multiple.
I would see if you can do number 2 there. Right here? Can you redo that? See, I don't really care for this way of doing it, because then I'm going to have another PO item. Item 3 is going to be a negative.
Yeah.
Well, I really don't want that. All I really want to do is create this PO and say, I'm going to add money to that budget in that PO. But actually, what am I doing? Yeah, actually right here, I'm putting money in that phase. But you're saying if I did the change order and I got the money in another phase, yeah, I wouldn't do any budget adjusting in here between phases. It'll make it complicated.
In theory, though, then when we're totally billed out, these phase codes here will respectively overrun by 100 and 280, and the phase code that we have for our new change order will underrun by 380.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would actually go back to the PCO form or the ACO form and do an internal change order and just move it, like say, okay, from here to here.
Okay.
And then that's all done. Then the dollars are in the right place.
Okay.
And it's documented.
That was our process at Turner. I was just hoping that can become
An easier way?
Yeah, it can become cumbersome. I spent,
I mean,
10 hours
the other way of doing it is if you know that you're going to, you don't know you're going to give them a change order until you really get so you don't really want to write it until it gets approved. So I understand that, but yeah, it's a little, really the only way to do it is to go and do it another way. Yeah. mean, I don't think unless, you can undo that one if you want, Will, we don't need that line. Go up to, just in case, let's go up to file and see if there's anything I can do up there. Nope, how about over in my tasks? Is there anything I can do?
Correct item.
Yeah, that's similar to, after I've interfaced it, I can go back and correct it, kind of like what we did on the material detail.
I see.
But-
What are you doing on subcontract change orders currently? So if you get a change order from the owner that increases your insulation value, do you put that money back in the insulator's task code, or do you put that money into the change order, a new change order task code of 900 somewhere?
No, I would increase so when I enter the change order in Maxwell, I would increase the contract value for insulation
Okay,
by whatever that change order amount was.
okay. So we'll need to do internal change orders to keep our process going.
Yeah, so, and it defaults to external, but there was a drop, you saw the field where it says internal. So once it's internal, it disables the contract amount because it's assuming you're not increasing your contract amount. All you're doing is really making budget adjustments, which we did all the time because they're moving stuff around. And we used to have stuff in like contingency phases
Sure.
or whatever you call them, allowances or whatever, yeah. And so you say, okay, well, so we don't really know, we put this in here because we're probably going to need it, we're just not sure where. And so then when we'd write things, we'd write it, but when we like write a subcontract, even just an initial one, and we were using some of that, we would write it and put the, say we were going to use this particular phase, but then we have to move the money from this one up into in there. So, because we wanted to cost it to the right place, not to some contingency allowance, I don't know, money and, surplus kind of thing. So again, I mean, and then there's a document here. So if you go under the pendelope there, the little envelope in the pen. Yep. And then, you pick it. This one actually has so it's kind of funny. There's a template for the PO change order, but there's not a template for the PO. I don't know. Smile, there you go. And so once again, if you try to view the document, well, sometimes they never, they never know. I think it's typically on There's a few forms that you need it for, and then I found it somewhere, and I read, oh, okay, so it's on certain documents. Require it, other ones don't. And again, this is going to be very generic. So it says it's kind of pretty basic. I mean, maybe that's good enough. I don't know. Although I don't see the original purchase order. How come it's not that changed by previously? This change order. Is that because it's not adding it
Is
up?
it?
What's that?
Is it because it's not approved?
I'm thinking maybe.
Well, the one I did so it had it showed the original amount and it gave me the revised amount, or the purchase order sum will increase by blah, blah, blah. And it gave the corrected sum.
It's only if you approve it.
Okay.
So if you don't approve it, saying, well, it's not really,
Yeah.
somewhere in that thing, it's saying, I'll only bring that in if it's an approved amount. And it's probably pulling it from that history tab.
Gotcha.
Because it actually has, yeah, it does. It has all those same numbers on there, so that's where they pulled that from. If you went back to that tab, you'd notice that, remember, Will, we looked at it. It had all those same, so on that history, or the totals tab, excuse me. There they all are, so that's where it's pulling it from.
Yeah.
So if you don't approve it, nothing shows up there. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so once it's approved, Then, I don't know if you can, from tasks, I'm not sure you can get, can you get the interface?
It was there.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So they started figuring it out. Now, you notice there's a few other things. It's gonna update the contract. So I mean, we may have done something else. I mean, it's just gonna update. Yeah,
Well,
so
I
you
think
can,
doing things too, I think, like with this one, so.
yeah, you can, right, it just brings in everything.
Everybody's.
Yeah. So whoever's doing anything, but hopefully, you know, you're working on one project. But there's no real way to restrict people from interfacing. If somebody else is working on
So
one.
that's, yeah. that's
Yeah, I
kinda
know.
crazy.
Yeah, it's,
If you have a large project like Wash State Convention Center, and you have several people in Vista working on that job, and they're right in the middle of stuff, I mean, they approve it, maybe they didn't, they still have to make changes, so like, oh, I'll interface that later, you know, maybe I have to make changes. And
You gotta
that
be
person comes
careful.
in and just goes, boom.
yeah, because if they'll all show there, and then you're going, oh, well, shoot, I only wanted to interface mine.
That's the big difference on this as far as being a batch or similar to one, is it's not by user.
Well, you could.
This is totally, yeah, there is no
It's a
way,
global batch.
and there's no way to restrict this.
But you could only I mean, it's a failure point, but it's also a point of control where you can only choose to interface your things, right?
You could,
But
but
the
I
risk would
can't,
be
but I
that-
can't restrict it to
Right.
say only show me my stuff. There's no security at the user level for that. It'd be nice if there was a user level security, similar to job billing interface, has the ability to say, oh, I'm only going to show you your stuff.
Yeah, it's my batch.
Yeah, so
well-
it shows the things that I created. This doesn't have that.
But I mean, some things like in Maxwell, I think there's some portions of Maxwell where if one person's in it, everyone else is locked out of it. But there's nothing.
Yeah, well, you can see it's just not doing that here.
Yeah. So
You just got to know that, oh, well, I'm not working on that PO or none of those other ones. I only did this one. So he unchecked the one, we'll uncheck yours, and so he's just validating his and interfacing that particular one. And then once it gets done, typically what it does is it leaves the form open, yep, and then it rechecks the one that you didn't, because that's the default, is always to check it to interface.
Okay.
I mean, the other way to do it is yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had somebody ask that, like, can we restrict, they wanted to restrict by the item types, like only allow people to interface certain items. Well, there's no way to do that either. So now it's there, right?
Yep.
So there it is so this, if you're on that, you can actually see the change orders. There's probably a log too. There's a report that you can go in and see all the PO change orders. Doesn't sound like you do that as often as maybe subcontract change orders. Okay, PO change orders, pretty simple. We'll go do a subcontract one. It's going to be very similar.